Where I'm stood right now would have been the centre circle of the pitch of the former Southampton stadium, the DELL.
Here's Letizia!
Yes guys, welcome back to Rise Football Paradise. We're here at the DELL, of course, the former home of Southampton Football Club, the Saints. This is what the DELL has become. Similar to Highfield Road, we went a few days ago to the former home of Coventry City, Highfield Road, and that site was bought up by Wimpy, and houses are now on the site. Similar things happened here at the DELL. This has been bought up by Barrett many years ago. The ground was here as a football ground from 1898 to 2001. And as most people know, the very last goal to be scored here in a competitive match was by Southampton's own Matt Letizia. Now, the actual last ever goal to be scored here is often forgotten about. That was by Uwe Rosler in a friendly between Southampton and Brighton. But let's not forget that. Let's give Letiz his credit. Now, I've always had a soft spot for Southampton, again, because of Matt Letizia. Let's put all the controversy aside. I know he's become somewhat of a controversial figure for having his own opinion in 2024. But with that aside, I love Letiz, and the Southampton kit from 93 to 95, the pony one with like the V, is one of my favourite kits of all time. Anyway, this is the outside of the DELL. I love the fact that they've kept the name the DELL, and not only have they kept the name the DELL, each of the blocks within the DELL are named after former Southampton players. Obviously, one of them being Matt Letizia. You've got Letizia Court in there somewhere. So, let's go and have a look at the former home of Southampton Football Club. Let's go. Okay, so if you are new to the channel, Rise Football Paradise is a channel based on exploring football stadiums, current and former football stadiums like this one. As I mentioned, we've already done like Highfield Road, we've done Griffin Park, what else have we done? We've done loads on the channel, so check those videos out after this video. But first impressions, I've done a little bit of research, I've looked at some pictures online, and when you look at this, you can kind of visualise where the stands were, where the spectators would sit, the Southampton faithful, when the Saints go marching in. You can visualise, these houses are probably taller than what the stands at the DELL were. I never had the privilege of coming to the DELL. My dad did, and he always spoke very highly of it. And it kind of had those like triangular kind of angled stands. I always ask you guys as well, obviously I'm exploring this and I know very little about the DELL. So if you're watching this, you're probably a Southampton fan. I always encourage you guys to join in the comment section below. Help me out. What was the name of the stand over here? The stand at the back? The stand over here, and what is now the way in? Was that the sort of main stand? Was this where reception was and stuff back in the day? I'm hoping now, if you can see in the background, they've retained some grass. Now, they did a similar thing at Highfield Road. They did some centre circle paving. I'm hoping that might be the centre circle over there. But what we're going to do first, we're going to wander over to each and every one of the individual kind of buildings that have been named after Southampton players. So as I look in the distance, I think we might be starting off with the very best. We might be starting off with Letiz. I'm going to try not get run over. So there we go, let's start off with the main man himself. If you didn't know already, the last competitive league game here at the DELL was in a 3-2 win. Southampton won 3-2 against Arsenal, and as we mentioned at the start, the winning goal coming from Matt Letizia.
Then one of the finest players ever to wear the red and white.
Now, if you listen to Matt Letizia and some podcasts like Simon Jordan one and stuff, he said he was secretly shitting it that somebody else might score and make it 4-2, and he wouldn't have the record as the last kind of league goal scorer at the DELL. He spent his whole competitive career at Southampton, playing here at the DELL, so obviously it meant so much to Letizia, and Letizia meant so much to Southampton fans. And I love the bloke. We often speak about 90s footballers being somewhat mavericks and stuff. Letiz was definitely that. He spoke about eating a sausage and egg McMuffin on his way into training, but that didn't matter because he was world class and probably should have had a better England career than he had. Let's go and check out, I think the block over there might be another part of Letizia Court. Let's just go and double check in that corner over there. Nope, this one's named after Ted Bates, the Ted Bates Court. So each and every one of these blocks individually is named after a former Southampton player. Now, I've just spoke to one of the residents. She said she didn't know much about football, but she can guarantee that that over there, the grass in the middle, is indeed the centre circle of where the old football pitch was. So maybe before we get to each and every corner, let's just go and double check the centre circle. Let's go and have a look.
Will lead Southampton to St Mary's.
Isn't it ironic that there's a sign saying no ball games on what was the former pitch of Southampton Football Club? No ball games on here anymore. When we went to Highfield Road, they wanted the exact opposite. They wanted grass to remain so that the kids of Coventry could continue playing football on that pitch. But I've not got a ball, but I've got some balls because I'm filming in front of people. Here we are on that sacred ground. I'm just presuming this is the original grass. It's probably not. It's probably been relayed by Barrett when they built these, I say, delightful houses. They're all right. They're not too bad. I've always liked Southampton, the place as well as the football club. I've been down here many a time. It's less than 2 hours away from Cheltenham where I live. But this is incredible. On this pitch right here, I've got to kind of bring you some bad news. If you are new to the channel, I am a Manchester United fan, but luckily for you, you had many a good victory on this pitch. Now, growing up in the 90s, obviously so many good results came for Southampton against Manchester United. You won 6-3, and then the following year it was 3-1, or was it the other way around? I know you beat us 6-3 and then 3-1 in the mid-90s, and one of those matches, I can't remember if it was the 6-3 or the 3-1, it's the famous match where Alex Ferguson moaned about the kit.
We're surprised when the team came out for the second half, Alec, you'd actually changed your shirts. What was the thinking behind that?
Straightforward, the players don't like the grey strip, but enough's enough, really, as far as I'm concerned.
The grey kit had been launched last summer, yet the team hadn't won a single Premiership game in it.
You think they should dump their grey kit? No.
The grey kit, the infamous grey kit, at half-time, right here at the DELL, Alex Ferguson had the Manchester United players change strip. Umbro even had to release a bit of an apology and kind of reimburse people, parents who'd bought that kit for their kids. And then they played the second half in blue and white. Manchester United couldn't get the win though, they couldn't claw back victory, and obviously Southampton gave Manchester United a pounding. Of course, you've got so many famous goals that took place here. I don't just want to make this a fluff piece from Matt Letizia, but one of my favourite goals of all time, the little flick over all the players. I think it was against Newcastle, wasn't it? And then he slotted it away in the corner. I think you had the Street Fighter signage around the side of the DELL. Again, if you're new here, I'm a massive fan of 90s football, as I've got my 90s Premier League top on. Now, let's go and check out the other blocks. Let's see what they've named or who they've named the other blocks after. Let's go. Next up, Stokes Court. See what's in this corner over here. Wallace Court. Now, they're 4 players that we've found, 4 namings after players. Now, I have used Wikipedia as my resource for information, and according to Wikipedia, we're missing Stokes Court. We've done Letizia, we've done Ted Bates, we've done Wallace, and we've done Shannon. Where is bloody Stokes Court? Let's have a look. Now, I found it, guys. This one's slightly out of where the pitch was. Behind me here, you've got Stokes Court. Now, we mentioned that Barrett Homes are responsible for this development. Now, Barrett Homes have even got their branding on the top of the Stokes Court signage up there. Now, this, as I mentioned earlier, this ground, this was here as a football ground from 1898 to 2001. Now, as you know, Southampton now play their football at St Mary's. I'm not going to be doing a St Mary's tour today. You might have noticed it's getting a bit dark. I am off to a Bournemouth game. Sorry if you're a Southampton fan. We're watching Bournemouth versus Swansea. Not the best of games, but cheap FA Cup tickets. And we're going to be doing a wander around the Vitality Stadium, Dean Court. We're going to be doing a bit of a... They don't do tours, so we're going to do a bit of a look at the home of Bournemouth. But if you are a Southampton fan, we will be back here next month when we pair up an actual stadium tour with your arch rivals over at Fratton Park, Pompey. Speaking of Pompey, did you know that they actually allowed a Portsmouth-based demolition company, Hughes and Salvage, to demolish what was the DELL? So poor Southampton fans, your ground, your sacred holy ground, was demolished by a company from Portsmouth. Probably a Portsmouth fan, just to rub salt into the wound. Let us know in the comments below if you're a Southampton fan, or if you came here on an away day, what were your memories of the DELL? Again, I'm absolutely gutted that I didn't get to experience this ground, because it really was quirky, unique, unorthodox, and I just love watching back old footage of games at the DELL. As I'm filming this right now, Southampton are really pushing Ipswich for that second automatic spot in the Championship. Obviously they're relegated last season, so hopefully Southampton can get back to the top flight. Again, I've mentioned I've always got a thing for Southampton, even though they whooped Man United's ass on this very pitch. Did you know that in 1950 the DELL became the first English football ground to have permanent floodlighting in the stadium? Did you know that the record attendance here was set in 1969? It was a game in which Southampton played Manchester United, but it was a game in which they lost 3-0. They had Manchester United had George Best, Bobby Charlton, a really good team playing, and a record attendance here was 31,044 people. We do sometimes joke about the fact that Hitler must have had an absolute hatred of football. Shouldn't joke about Hitler, evil man, never should be put into a joke, but he seemed to want to bomb football grounds, and in 1940 the DELL unfortunately got bombed when the Nazis dropped a bomb on, I think it blew up like the Milton Road end. I think that's Milton Road over here, so it must have been over here. Weirdly, I looked at a house for sale in Milton Road in Cheltenham yesterday. A little bit different a Milton Road than that one. Did you know that at the time of closure, before it closed its doors in 2001, the DELL had a capacity of 15,200. Now, as I've already mentioned, guys, I can't stay too long because I am off to watch a Bournemouth game, but I've really enjoyed checking out where the DELL was, and I love the fact that they have remained, they've kept calling it the DELL. It's basically still the DELL, just used for a different purpose, to house people. I love the fact that they've named the different blocks after former Southampton players. I love the fact that they've kept the grass in the middle as a nod to the centre circle of the pitch. I haven't seen any specific plaques that are specific to Southampton, the football club, apart from obviously naming things after former players. But with that said, this is really nice to see. Highfield Road was quite nice because they did have a plaque, it got stolen, but again, we've seen some grounds, like we went to Upton Park, to the Bull-in ground, and there was very little reminiscence of a great former football stadium. If you've enjoyed the video, guys, stick the thumbs up, like the video, and don't forget we're coming back for a stadium tour next month. Loads more tours coming to the channel. Check out all these to the side of me now, guys. I've done loads of stadium tours, and let me know in the comments below what former football stadium would you like me to visit next. I'll see you in one of these videos.